We went state by state to find out what the laws were regarding property and casualty insurance assignment benefits. And then obviously throughout the history of OCS, we've been challenged, and the contractors have been challenged on the validity of the assignment. You should speak to at least like the 2018. So that would have been 2 years after we had established our company, and then we had our first challenge against one of the carriers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talked about the challenge of contractors not wanting to balance bill homeowners, right? And so one of the solutions with that was, well, let's keep the policyholder out of it. With the assignment of benefits, we can keep that argument between the contractor and the insurance company, right? The insurance company's low paying the claim, or maybe they don't understand it, or they're not agreeing with the justifications as to why. And so there's accountability there through the assignment. We're able to go straight back to the carrier and say, hey, we challenge your payment. We don't believe that you paid a fair and reasonable amount on this loss. And one of the early ways that we sought about doing that was through litigation. So we were very heavily involved in litigation in the early stages of OCS, challenging the insurance companies on these partial payments. Very, very, it was quite time consuming. I think at one point I had over 300 pending lawsuits at one time. But earlier on, it was a challenge because the carriers would fight us on that and say, well, you don't have the standing, you don't have the ability to file this lawsuit against us. You're not our policyholder. And under the assignment of benefits, you don't have the right to challenge our payment. And based on case law in the state we started in, that was 40 plus years old, we felt actually we are able to do this. And so we challenged insurance carriers on this, and we won at the lower court here, and the carrier ended up choosing to appeal it. So we went to the Court of Appeals on that, and that was a wild ride. And we got a very favorable ruling at the Court of Appeals saying, actually, yes, under the assignment of benefits, the contractor does stand in the shoes of the policyholder. They do have the right to challenge these low payments and to receive a fair payment for what they've done. Really changed the landscape very heavily at that time. It was a huge win for us at OCS, and a lot of different places started kind of jumping on board, different states kind of following suit. And one of the things that we learned through that process too is there tends to be some negative connotation attached to and associated with the assignment of benefits, not just from the carrier side of things, but even contractors sometimes have a negative view of the assignment and what it does, which is tough because when both carriers and homeowners really understand what the assignment does, and contractors understand what the assignment does, it really does drive the economy. It brings accountability to the whole situation. And there are times that we saw where the assignment was absolutely being abused. And it became very onerous for insurance companies to deal with the assignment the way that certain states were using it. And that's just really wasn't the case in Arizona where we started. We couldn't do the same things that were happening elsewhere. And but the assignment it's so essential for a contractor to be able to use that. It really does help them be able to bring that accountability to the whole process and protect their payment. So that was one of the big wins for us in solving a challenge in the industry.